In a world that follows the same script, there are those of us who choose to walk in a different direction. As Sigmas, we know what it's like to be different, independent, and to many, incomprehensible. Throughout life, we've learned that being authentic, even when it seems strange, is a strength in itself. Have you ever felt out of place, preferred solitude, or ignored social norms without looking back? Then you're about to explore unique traits that, for us, aren't just weird things, but choices that conceal power and freedom. At Official Sigma Male, we want you to see how these 11 traits, which others may question, are actually our mark of independence. It's not simply about going against the flow, but living at peace with ourselves without relying on external validation. This path isn't for everyone, but if you've felt a sense of belonging, I invite you to stay and discover alongside other Sigmas why this lifestyle strengthens and sets us apart. And if you want to be part of a community that values authenticity, consider subscribing to Official Sigma Male, where we share content that challenges norms and leads us to a more genuine life. They prefer solitude. For us, Sigmas, solitude is more than just a choice. It's a refuge where we find peace and purpose. Most people seek company to feel complete, but we know that our true strength lies in solitude. Being alone allows us to dive deep into our thoughts without the noise or influence of outside opinions. It's in this space that we hear our own voice, that unmistakable guide that reminds us of what truly matters. We choose solitude, but that doesn't mean we're isolated from everyone. The difference is that we carefully select who we allow to get close, prioritizing relationships that bring something genuine and meaningful. By preferring introspection, we strengthen our self-sufficiency and create an inner peace that few understand. This allows us to face the world without the constant need for validation, knowing we are enough for ourselves. In the end, for us, solitude isn't synonymous with isolation, but with freedom. It's a space where we can reflect, reassess, and grow without the distractions of the world. We know that our strength and autonomy come from our ability to be at peace with who we are, without depending on anyone's presence or approval. This deep connection makes the Sigma path something unique, and we are ready to stand firm, even if others don't understand it. They observe silently. We Sigmas prefer to observe in silence before acting or judging. We don't need to be the loudest in the room to understand what's happening around us. Instead, we catch the details that others overlook. The attention we pay to every gesture and word allows us to know people better and detect their true intentions without them even realizing it. It's a subtle art, but it gives us a unique advantage. Observing in silence also allows us to anticipate situations and avoid unnecessary problems. While others react impulsively, we remain calm, taking note of the signals presented. It's not a matter of distrust, but of prudence. We learn more when we listen than when we talk. This skill enables us to choose carefully whom to trust and whom to keep at arm's length. For us, observation isn't a passive act, but an active tool for learning and self-defense. Every interaction is an opportunity to see beyond appearances, to understand what others aren't saying. This approach gives us clarity and perspective in a world full of noise, and it allows us to move with a certainty that few comprehend. We know that acting at the right moment is just as important as knowing when to remain silent. They reject traditional leadership. For us Sigmas, traditional leadership doesn't attract or motivate us to move forward. We don't seek external authority or approval to know where to go. Instead, we cultivate our own internal authority. In a world that values hierarchies, we prefer to guide our actions and decisions without relying on a title or position. True authority, for a Sigma, lies in the freedom to decide for oneself. Autonomy is a non-negotiable principle on our path, and that's why we choose to lead ourselves before following others. This doesn't mean we don't know how to collaborate. Rather, we deeply value our independence. Over time, we've learned that controlling our decisions allows us to act authentically and stay true to our values, regardless of others' expectations. This independence isn't always understood, but it gives us a strength that few possess. It enables us to navigate life without constraints, building an existence based on our principles, not social expectations. For a Sigma, true freedom lies in being one's own leader, making personal decisions, and living according to one's vision of the world. And just as we value our independence, we also fiercely defend another fundamental aspect: our privacy. They value privacy. For us Sigmas, privacy is sacred. In a world where many seek exposure and validation, we prefer to keep certain parts of our life only for ourselves. It's not that we have something to hide, but rather that we understand the value of maintaining a reserved space where our decisions, thoughts, and emotions are preserved away from prying eyes. This privacy is our sanctuary, a place where we find peace and freedom. By valuing privacy, we set clear boundaries and don't let just anyone cross them. We take the time to choose carefully with whom we share parts of our life, aware that not everyone understands or appreciates this need for discretion. For a Sigma, boundaries aren't walls of separation, but a way to preserve independence and control over our space and mental peace. We understand that privacy is the key to an authentic life, free of interference. It allows us to live on our terms without adapting to others' expectations. This discretion gives us the strength to face the world without losing our essence. And while we carefully protect our space, we also explore our inner world with a depth that few reach. They think deeply. We Sigmas have a mind that doesn't settle for superficial explanations. Every idea, every situation, and every experience we analyze carefully, seeking to understand what others overlook. For us, deep thinking is a tool that allows us to see beyond the obvious, finding connections and patterns that others don't perceive. This approach helps us make solid decisions and live with a clarity that can only be achieved through reflection. The process of thinking deeply isn't always easy, but it gives us an advantage that few value. Instead of being driven by impulses, we analyze each step and consider its potential consequences. This depth makes us cautious individuals, capable of foreseeing and planning with a broader vision. We know that every decision we make reflects our values and our life vision, which is why introspection and questioning are essential in our day-to-day. In the end, this reflective approach gives us an inner strength that's difficult to attain in a fast-paced, noisy world. It allows us to act with intention and stand firm in our convictions. For a Sigma, deep thinking isn't a burden but a privilege that enriches life and leads to living with authenticity and purpose. But this quest for the essential also reflects in a lifestyle where less is more and where every choice has meaning. They embrace minimalism. For us Sigmas, minimalism isn't a trend but a philosophy of life. We choose to live with the essentials, not because we lack options, but because we know that excess only adds noise and distractions to our lives. We focus on what truly matters and discard the superfluous, both materially and emotionally. This approach allows us to maintain a clarity that others often lose amidst accumulation. By choosing minimalism, we also choose to live in harmony with our values and goals. We know that we don't need more things or more commitments to feel fulfilled. Every object, every relationship, and every activity in our lives has a specific purpose, which helps us conserve our energy and focus on what truly matters. It's in this simplicity that we find a freedom that's rarely obtained when bound by the unnecessary. Being minimalists allows us to focus on our priorities without distractions. It's a way to live intentionally, building a life where every choice has purpose. Thus, instead of chasing more, we seek the best for ourselves, what nurtures our path and brings us closer to our essence. And although the world may see it as something radical, we know that in simplicity we find a unique strength. But we don't just avoid material excess. We also challenge the social conventions that many follow without question. They ignore social conventions. For us, Sigmas, social conventions are merely rules we're not obligated to follow. We don't feel the need to fit into the mold society imposes, and this freedom allows us to live according to our own norms and values. We know that true authenticity comes from living without fear of being different, regardless of whether others find it strange. Our identity isn't defined by what others expect of us, but by what we decide to be. Ignoring social conventions doesn't mean we're rebels without a cause. It means we prefer to build our lives on authentic decisions. While many seek social acceptance at any cost, we value independent thought and act according to what we believe is right. This way of being may confuse some, but for us, it's simply a reflection of our autonomy and our willingness to stay true to ourselves. In our view, life is too valuable to live by others' expectations. By choosing our path, we find a freedom that others don't dare to imagine. We know that this authenticity allows us to connect with like-minded people and build genuine relationships rather than superficial interactions. But beyond rejecting conventions, we seek to deepen our connections in conversations that truly bring meaning and value. They prefer meaningful conversations. For us, Sigma's small talk holds no appeal. We prefer deep, authentic conversations where we can explore ideas that truly matter. We're not interested in empty exchanges or trivial topics. We value time and energy, both ours and that of those who choose to share these moments with us. In every exchange, we seek more than words. We seek meaning, understanding, and a real connection. This desire for depth reflects our life approach. We know that authentic relationships are built on sincere and meaningful conversations. It's there that we truly discover people, understand their values and visions, and share our perspectives. Through these dialogues, we nurture our personal growth and find inspiration in others' experiences and learnings. Deep conversations are, for us, food for the soul. A space where time seems to stand still and where topics rarely discussed are explored. We know it's not easy to find people with whom we can talk this way, but when it happens, we value every moment. In these times, we understand we're surrounded by individuals who also seek authenticity, something that goes beyond empty words. But the depth of our connections also reflects in our self-discipline and how we organize our lives. They love working on solitary projects. For us, Sigma's solitary projects are an opportunity to create something of our own, free from interference or distractions. In these moments of creative solitude, we find the freedom to explore our ideas and develop our skills to the fullest. We don't need anyone's validation or the pressure of a team. It's just us, our work, and the satisfaction of knowing that every step reflects our effort and dedication. Working alone allows us to be absolute masters of our process. Without the expectations or rhythms imposed by others, we can focus on every detail and take our ideas wherever we want. This space of independence lets us build without limits, and each project becomes a genuine expression of who we are. For us, these projects are more than simple tasks. They're personal challenges that push us to grow. In the end, in these moments of individual work, we find a deep connection with our creativity and identity. We know few people understand the value of these solitude spaces, but for a Sigma, this is where the most meaningful ideas are born. It's a process that strengthens us and gives us clarity, allowing us to move forward with purpose and authenticity. And although we enjoy these solitary projects, We're also aware that this independence creates an aura of mystery that many perceive but few can decipher. They tend to be mysterious. We Sigmas have an air of mystery that isn't intentional but arises from how we live. We don't feel the need to expose every aspect of our lives or share everything with others. This mystery is, in part, a natural barrier that allows us to keep our inner world protected. By keeping certain things reserved, we feel free to be ourselves without others interfering or judging what they don't understand. This inclination toward privacy gives us an advantage, as while others display everything on the surface, we choose what to reveal and to whom. This doesn't mean we distrust everyone. Rather, we understand the value of keeping some things only for ourselves. By choosing carefully what we share, we achieve personal balance and protect our space. In this sense, mystery isn't a game, but a way to preserve our peace and autonomy. We know that this enigmatic air may intrigue some and confuse others, but it's not something we seek to change. We're aware that the value of an authentic life isn't in the number of people who understand us, but in the quality of the connections we choose to have. This approach allows us to live with a freedom that few dare to explore. They prefer to be misunderstood rather than conventional. For us, Sigmas, being misunderstood isn't a problem. In fact, we prefer it over betraying our essence just to fit in. We're not interested in following the majority's norms or adapting to what others consider normal. We know our authenticity is what makes us unique, and we don't need anyone's approval to feel secure in who we are. We live according to our principles, aware that this honesty with ourselves is more important than any social label. Being misunderstood is the price we pay for our freedom, and it's a price we're willing to pay. We don't seek to fit into others' molds or please everyone. We value our independence too much to be limited by others' expectations. This decision to be true to our identity may seem strange or challenging to some, but for us, it's a way of life. We know that being genuine is what truly gives us peace and purpose. In the end, we prefer to be seen as different or peculiar rather than live a life that doesn't represent us. For us, being Sigma means staying firm in our essence, even if it makes us incomprehensible to many. We're proud to walk our path, knowing that every step is an affirmation of our freedom. And although this path isn't always the easiest, we know it's the only one truly worth taking. After exploring these 11 traits, it's clear that the Sigma male path is anything but ordinary. Living with this independence and authenticity requires strength, discipline, and a commitment to being true to oneself. If any of these weird things resonate with you, then you know they hide a strength that few possess. Here, among Sigmas, we understand that living this way is the true act of freedom and courage. As part of this community, we share a unique understanding and mutual respect for this lifestyle. By subscribing to Official Sigma Male and activating notifications, you'll join others who, like you, value authenticity and autonomy above any label or norm. Here, we will continue exploring ideas and strategies that only someone like us can understand and apply. So, Sigma, shall we continue together on this journey of discovery and growth?